This is the fastest growing drug class in history. And right now, we are running a massive, uncertain experiment on human biology. Half the internet says it's a miracle drug, the other half says it causes cancer and melts your muscles. We know these drugs can help people lose weight. What we need to answer is how safe they are in the long term. I'm Dr. Cal, a medical doctor with 7 years clinical experience in the NHS, and I've sat with patients who are biologically unable to lose weight no matter how hard they try. I absolutely understand the desperation for a solution, but we need to stop looking at GLP-1 agonists like Ozempic and Wegovy as just weight loss jabs. These medications are powerful metabolic modulators with profound effects. They change your brain structure, they alter your heart function, and they fundamentally rewrite your body's relationship with energy. For this video, I've gone through over 40 research papers on GLP-1 agonists, from the thyroid cancer link to the muscle loss data and the neuroprotective findings. I've linked every single one of them into a citation library, which is available in the link in the description below, so you can check out any of the research for yourselves. And here's what I'm going to walk you through in today's video. The safety data, the truth about the links to thyroid cancer and stomach paralysis, the muscle trade-off, why losing weight might actually make you biologically older, the longevity potential, the surprising data on heart disease and dementia. Now, before we look at any of this, it is crucial to understand what GLP-1 actually is. GLP-1 stands for glucagon-like peptide 1. It's a hormone that your gut naturally produces after you eat. Its job is to tell your brain that you're full, stimulate insulin release, and slow down gastric emptying, or how quickly food leaves your stomach. In simple terms, it's your body's built-in appetite brake. What drugs like semaglutide do is mimic this hormone, but at a much higher level and for a much longer period than they would do naturally. And this is a powerful thing to do, and it's exactly why the effects, both good and bad, are so dramatic. So let's take a look at the evidence. Let's start with one of the fears that stops a lot of people from taking these drugs: thyroid cancer. If you pick up any of these medications in the US, there is a big black box warning that links the use of these medications to a type of thyroid cancer called medullary thyroid cancer. That sounds terrifying, but what you actually need to understand is where this data comes from. It primarily comes from rats. Rats and humans both have a specific type of cell in their thyroid called C cells. In rats, these cells are covered in GLP-1 receptors. So when you give a rat a high dose of semaglutide, these cells get overstimulated. They grow, they multiply, and in some cases they can turn cancerous. But here is the critical and often overlooked physiological difference. Humans aren't big rats. Our thyroid C cells have very few GLP-1 receptors. A research team set out to validate this signal in humans, and they published their findings in Diabetes Care and analyzed data from hundreds of thousands of patients. They found no significant increase in the risk of thyroid cancer in humans. The signal simply doesn't translate from animal models to human biology. Absolutely shocking, I know. Now, medicine is all about risk management. If you've got a personal or family history of conditions like MEN2, which is multiple endocrine neoplasia type 2, the balance is in favor of avoiding these drugs on a risk-benefit condition. Moving on, there is perhaps a more concerning safety issue that is strongly evidenced: gastroparesis or stomach paralysis. To understand this, you need to understand how the drug actually works. It mimics a hormone that tells your brain you're full, but it also slows down the rate at which food leaves your stomach. Think of it like a traffic jam in your digestive system. For most people, this is a desirable feature. It's why you eat less. But for some, the traffic stops completely and comes to a standstill. Think the M6 at 5 p.m. on a Friday. Food sits in the stomach for days, it ferments, it hardens, and this can lead to severe vomiting and even bowel obstruction, which is a surgical emergency. Here's the key point. The biggest mistake that most people make is rushing the titration. They want to lose weight fast, so they crank up the dose every 4 weeks. Please do not do this. If you experience nausea, constipation, or those terrible sulfur burps, That's your body trying to tell you that the traffic jam is too severe. Stay on the lowest effective dose that works for you. If you're losing weight on 0.25 milligrams, just stay there. There is zero medical benefit to higher doses if the lower doses are working. Please don't effectively paralyze your stomach in the pursuit of losing weight. Now, next up is where the clinical picture gets genuinely concerning from my perspective, and it's an issue I think most people aren't taking seriously enough. There is a huge difference between losing weight and losing fat. Most people celebrate whenever the number drops on the scale. They assume lighter means healthier. But if most of that weight is muscle tissue, you're just becoming a smaller, frailer version of yourself. In 2015, a research team pulled together 22 randomized control trials in a massive meta-analysis. They were looking at exactly this question. When people lose weight on GLP-1 agonists, what actually are they losing? And what they found was striking. Lean mass loss made up about 25% of the total weight loss. To put that into perspective, if you lost 20 pounds, 5 pounds of that would be lean muscle tissue. And this leads to a condition called sarcopenic obesity. Sarcopenia literally means poverty of flesh. You may look thin in clothes, but underneath you're frail. You've got the muscle mass of an 80-year-old in a 40-year-old body. And since muscle is our primary organ for glucose disposal and one of the strongest predictors of longevity, if you watch my video on that, you'll know exactly why this is a disaster. And this is also the mechanism behind Ozempic face. The media treats this like it's some mysterious side effect. It's not mysterious at all. We've got fat pads in our cheeks that provide structure, and we've also got facial muscles that provide tone. When you lose weight too rapidly, coupled with not eating enough protein, you lose both. The scaffolding of your face collapses, your skin loses its structural support, and you get gaunt and you look aged. But with all that misery, here comes the good news. We can solve this issue. If you're going to take these drugs, you need to adopt a few set of rules. Number 1, protein intake. This drug crushes your appetite, and the first thing that you stop eating is protein because it's satiating. You cannot let this happen. Aim for a target of 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of ideal body weight. Think of protein like medicine. You don't eat it because you're hungry, you eat it because it's your prescription. If you need to, use whey protein isolate. It's easy to drink and has high bioavailability. Rule number 2, resistance training. You've got to send that mechanical signal to your muscles that they are still needed, otherwise they will waste away. If you take this drug and sit on the couch, you're essentially accelerating your own aging process. With all that said, there is some hope on the horizon. There is a new drug called Retatrutide. It's a triple agonist that targets GLP-1, GIP, and glucagon receptors. Early data is promising and suggests it preserves muscle better. Why? Because glucagon increases energy expenditure. It burns fat rather than just suppressing appetite. But until that's available, you've got to do the work. Okay, so we've covered the risks. Now I want to flip the narrative, because if you can solve these issues, what's left is potentially one of the most powerful longevity interventions we've ever discovered. Let's talk about the cardiovascular data, because this is where the story gets pretty exciting. A meta-analysis published in 2025 looked at semaglutide in non-diabetic patients. They pulled data from multiple trials looking specifically at cardiovascular outcomes, and they found a significant 17% reduction in cardiovascular risk. That is a substantial finding, and crucially, the benefits seem to go beyond just weight loss. The drug appears to reduce systemic inflammation. It stabilizes the plaques in your arteries. It creates a powerful biological environment where heart disease struggles to take hold in the first place. But the frontier that excites me even more is in the brain. We discovered that GLP-1 receptors aren't just in the gut, they're in the brain and they're in the neurons. When you stimulate them, it reduces neuroinflammation. And that neuroinflammation is a key driver of Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. A massive cohort study of over 140,000 patients found a 70% reduced risk in the incidence of dementia in GLP-1 users. That is a staggering number. Now, I want to add a critical caveat here. This is a cohort study. It's not a randomized controlled trial. In science, correlation does not equal causation. There is likely a user bias at play. Do they have less dementia because of the drug or because of other factors that are acting as co-founders? We don't know yet for sure, but the mechanistic plausibility, the fact that we know it reduces inflammation in the brain, makes me optimistic. Now we can move on to the anti-addiction signal, and this one is really, really cool. It's a phenomenon being reported globally. These medications aren't just causing people to stop snacking, they are also stopping other compulsive behaviors like nail biting, impulse shopping, and even wine drinking. It appears that these drugs dampen the dopamine reward loop in the brain. They turn down the volume on craving, but not just for food, for everything that is linked to dopamine as a reward. It's a metabolic reset for your brain's reward system. And personally, I'm really excited to see where the research goes in this avenue in the coming years. Overall, these drugs create a window of opportunity. If you use them to starve yourself, you'll age faster, you'll become frail, and you will look older. But if you use them to fuel a lifestyle change, if you use the silence and the food noise to finally get your diet and training right, they can protect your heart and potentially your brain. The drug is only 50% of the equation. The other 50% is what you eat and how you train while you're on it. Now, if you want to know exactly how to structure protein intake to protect your muscle mass, I made an entire video on that, rethinking protein intake, and it goes deep into the research. I'll link it somewhere up here. I've compiled all the studies referenced in this video into a citation library. It's free and you can find the link in the description below. If you found this useful, then subscribing helps us reach more people. And if you've got any questions or there's a topic you want me to cover, drop it in the comments below. Until next time, look after yourselves.